The name of the game was Dead Realm, right? Dead Realm, and we have played Damned before, and we enjoyed Damned to some degree. I thought that the monsters lacked a lot of
There wasn't much
The
variety.
monsters are just skins.
depth.
They're all their
Yeah,
own.
they're really skin, and there's minor differences. Like
what game Damned
the Wolverine guy,
Damned is very, very. Each monster has a
Yeah.
completely different play
like
style.
wildly different.
Yeah.
Some you can't see anybody unless you actually walk over them, and then you see them for a short period of time. One of them, I forget how the other one.
They got 3 monsters in Damned that we
One's
know of.
very very slow, but
That's
you
the
you
girl.
can do a short speed burst once you see somebody, which is kind of cool. Yeah, that's the chick,
Yeah, that's
Rosemary.
your typical Japanese little girl, where she just sits there like
Grudge.
ring.
She's
Yeah.
very very slow, and then when you see somebody, you can click in your speed boost and be off.
You have the Lurker, which is a
This is
stealth
Damned, by the
unit.
way.
Yeah, this is Damned. The Lurker, which is stealth, which is invisible but can appear and chase people for a limited period of time. And then the Ghost, which is my personal favorite, which the survivors can see, is extremely slow, but you only can see them when they're making noise. So the Ghost can't see the players unless they're moving and making noise. So it really is. It's 3 completely different styles of play, and it's 3 completely different ways that the survivors have to adjust to their game styles to each monster type.
Yeah.
So
And this game, the differences are the wolf guy has like 5 banshees instead of 3.
yeah, the wolf
One
guy
dude
has
was
5.
a little quicker and could be seen from farther away, or not wouldn't be seen from as far away. The one that you were using, that last one you were using, Shadow, you could see the red circle. Like it showed the humans a red circle
Yeah.
without using a cell phone.
Which one?
The one you were using on the last one there, the old lady.
Oh well, her whole thing was that if you ran into one of her spirit zones, it would drain your battery. But there's really no difference between all 3
It was
monsters, and
minors, yeah.
that's the biggest. There was no difference. I mean,
Torn
there
Soul
was-
has left the server.
The spirits really aren't a break it game factor. It just gives a spotting aspect. So
Yeah.
you drop spirits on one side of the map, and you could see the players on the other side of the map. And since your stamina bar is relatively minor,
It doesn't.
if
make
you
a
try to
difference.
run over there to find them, even if you do, they can run away from you. But the problem is that that's the other issue where there's no escaping the ghost once they have you, because you run just as fast as the ghost runs. So it just turns into like a slow chase, waiting for
Yeah, it's like
get
Jason.
your stamina back first.
There were some cool things about it, like the secret passageways behind pictures, or like hiding
That
places
was pretty cool.
stuff were pretty cool. But overall, I don't think it was worth the $15. Like they would have to incorporate a lot more stuff for it to be worth it.
Well, it's your typical early access. You're paying for a premise, not necessarily a finished game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's got a decent. I mean, well, let me rephrase that. It doesn't necessarily have a great premise. It's just using the same old thing that every other horror game has. It's basically just a Damned without the actual thought. Now, granted, I will give it credit. It functioned fine. I didn't have any issues. There was no bugs. It didn't
Yeah.
crash except for Outlaw on that first time. And, I mean, the game functioned fine. That's the damned biggest issue is that the game can be buggy as fuck.
Yeah.
But Damned also looks a little bit better. I think the graphics
It's
on Damned are
scarier.
better. It's the atmosphere in Damned is just creepy.
Yeah. You
So-
have you have like the random things that the ghost can set you'll set off, like the clocks and shit like that.
Mhm.
And then you have those random
You'll
like
start to
things
go like
appearing on-
insane.
Yeah, you have things appearing on the screen as you're playing the game.
When you're
It's
playing against
dark.
the little girl, it really gets fucking creepy because you'll have her fucking start ghost image popping
Yeah.
up on your screen and
Hands coming out of the floor.
and grabbing
Yeah,
you
that's
and
right.
slowing you down. It definitely has a hell of a lot more of it fucks with your head more. After the initial jump scare on Dead Realm, it's pretty much just great, annoying,
So yeah, any last thoughts on this? We'll go ahead and give it our thumbs up, thumbs down, or maybe kind of
Thumbs down, generic.
like it has potential.
It's a 45
but,
degree.
At this time, it's
It
not.
needs work. It needs a lot of work.
Yeah.
But that's just balancing things, and I think if they change that, it could be good.
Just feels too generic to me, and the premise. I think the hide and seek was the better aspect of the two games. It's just that the problem with the hide and seek mode on that, it's
There was
interesting.
nowhere to hide.
Yeah, there's nowhere to hide, and even if there was places to hide, as soon as another one of your players gets knocked out and they can start hunting you, if anybody didn't realize it, I did real quick. You can yeah, and it immediately shows you where every other living player is. And once you get close enough to them, you can't see them anymore, but you can get their heartbeat. So it's like you could basically effectively zone in and then find them, and it's just
Cold.
that just breaks the mechanic, and it's no longer hide and seek. Now it's basically it's a sonar type thing. You can just track them and find them.
I did find out though when right clicking, if you had a clone out, the clones actually had their own image and everything.
Yeah, but see, there's no penalty for the clones had a time limit, and there was no penalty for finding it.
That's the thing. Like clones, well, yeah, there should be a penalty. Something like you can't move for a little bit because it was a false human. But the clones, I do agree. I think they should either last a lot longer or be permanent or something. Because like you can set up traps and like quickly hide in the stove, pop your clone, get out of the stove, close it, so on and so forth.
So I would go even further and say it would be interesting to do with that mode would be do the clones to where if a ghost, one of your other team players gets you, it takes you out of you can no longer be an active hunter. You're done. So if you find a clone, you have to be very careful. And it becomes like a staring battle. It's, do I want to attack this person? Is it a clone or is it an actual player? You know what I mean? So since they can see you coming, it would even be more interesting in that aspect. Like I said, there's definitely
still or
The clones were a waste. They were such a waste. If they don't last for a long time,
they're
stupid
pointless.
thing.
Yeah.
It's stupid. I like the idea of going into like a hiding area, dropping your clone, leaving and closing the door behind you, so somebody thinks you're hiding in there.
Yeah.
And they have to, and that'll, and maybe part of the issue is you just need to cut the timer down.
Well, even I think the timer's fine, or maybe I don't know. You want it to be where it still remains to be. You don't want it to be like the maps are big enough where if it's a short enough timer and there's enough players, the ghost is never going to find you. But I like the idea of like penalizing if you attack a clone and it isn't the player, So just like a 10-second, 15, 20, 30-second runoff or something. So you want to make really sure that person is a
Yeah,
I don't
don't just
know.
go for it.
Yeah. If there's two people in the room, you and a clone are in the room, and the ghost comes in there, and he knows one of you is probably the player, he's got to choose wisely. Because if he doesn't, you can run away and now go re-hide, and the ghost is trapped for like 30 seconds, so you got a chance to escape.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they also like kind of like balance it out. There should also be a way, like there's like not something like huge major, but something that actually will still give the actual human away instead of the clone. So let it be the heartbeat is irregular or something like.
I would even go a step further and just say that you should do it because it's the aspect that every little movement of your mouse moves your character. So you have to stand perfectly still. The clone's not going to move.
Yeah.
So as soon as the ghost comes in the room, you got to stand perfectly still because if your character moves just a little teeny bit, it's going to be there. That's the game right there. He knows which one's which. So you have to stay perfectly still, like because you got to play like you're static, and that ain't going to be easy for a lot of people. You're not going to take your hand off the mouse and keyboard if you're going to run. You know what I mean?
But there's interesting things that you can do with the clone. There's just nothing you can do with it right now, it feels like. And maybe other people understand it better than we do, but it didn't seem like anything, at least in the beginning, that you could do anything with your clone.
Nope. If you're crouching, the clone crouches. That's what I've seen so far.
Yeah, I
It
crouched
mimics-
under a table and dropped my clone, but apparently it disappeared after a minute.
It disappears. Yeah, they'll disappear and like act like they've been getting killed. So like I said, either way, it's not a good distractor. It's not a good decoy because it's like, okay, well, the decoy stopped and stood still, and the guy ran off. I wonder which one happens to be the player.
Right.
So yeah, disappointing. Not bad, but disappointing.